Streamers, welcome back to Recoup. Happy Friday. Today's Friday, November 21st, 2025. I'm Sweets. This is Sid. Today is our Friday weekly recap. This is the only chat we're doing this week. And to kick it off, we'll kick it off how we always do. In one word, how you feeling today? In one sentence, what do you need today?
One word, I'm feeling better. In one sentence, what do I need? I need you know what? I need to unplug a little bit. I think this week I was sick, but also a Less Than story were out of town, which propelled me to just like vibe code for 10 hours. And lots of ideas were started and not finished, and lots of things. And so now I feel very amped, but also like a little like slightly overwhelmed. So I think this weekend is an unplug and recalibrate. Although you will probably get a shipment, a code review at like 2 a.m. on Saturday, but we'll see. All right, what about you?
So the programmer is continuing to grow in his programming capacity. It's good to hear. I am feeling very excited. And I need to check in on if agents are the correct path for us to be building for the goals we're trying to solve or not. I got to build out agents in AI SDK v6, and having hands-on implementation and seeing the impacts changed my thoughts a little bit on, well, now we have experience to back the theory, so I'm excited to talk about that. The next thing I want to talk about is we have a new model that is already live in, we're going to the breaking news. Let me get the breaking news thing up. Stay on the design. Okay. So right inside of Recoup already, we already have Gemini 3, which came out this week from Google. It's the latest AI model from Google. I believe it came out on Tuesday or Wednesday. And we knew beforehand when it was going to come out. Not because Google said anything. Google didn't tell us anything other than Sundar Pichai retweeting the Polymarket. But Polymarket knew over a week ago that Gemini 3 was going to come out, and everybody was already talking about it around here when it was going to come out. And so the day of, everybody was watching Twitter, and everybody knew when it came out, and people already knew. So I'm curious, Sid, I've been sending you the Polymarket stuff, but you haven't been replying about it. What were your thoughts seeing Polymarket and us as a company being able to know before the AI announced their model that there was a date with high probability that it was going to get launched on that?
I mean, I think it's awesome. I think predictive margins are great. I think I don't have enough data to know if Sundar retweeted because it was the correct date and it was just like an Easter egg. Because there's probably other dates that they had, more votes on or other votes on. So he just like decided to like announce the date that way. But I think prediction markets are great. I think if you have enough audience, if you have a big enough audience, it's kind of like a easy way to move markets in your favor or reward people for being early or participating. I think about like when Brian Armstrong, after the read of or after his call with the report or the annual, or what is it, the quarterly reports or whatever, like went on Polymarket, listed off all of the things to make everybody money, and then was like, cool, thanks guys, see you later. Like shit like that. Like it was just like, it's cool to be able to reward people that easily, What do you think?
Is this predicting the future, or is this the future being changed as a result of the market?
Exactly.
I wonder how many internal Google employees participated in the market, people who actually have these conversations and are talking about the dates, and they know that it's going to be coming out, and they're told like, hey, don't tell any of your friends about this. And then they spin up an anonymous Polymarket account, and they have information about when something's going to happen, and so they actively contribute to the information for us to know ahead of the news sources, as well as them to be able to financially capitalize on the upside of them having access to information that the open market doesn't necessarily have access to. Like, there's two sides of it. Our internal Google employees who aren't supposed to be talking about it participating in this market, so that way they can get the financial upside of having access to this information? Or is this the future is being changed as a result of people who can make these decisions going onto Polymarket and seeing the options and then saying, well, this has a high probability, let's go with how much is actually predicting the future and how much is the future changing as a result of the Polymarket? Personally, I think the future is being predicted, and I am trusting Polymarket more and more for what is being shown on there. Like, for example, I dollar cost average into ETH every month. So when I get paid from you and from the other clients, there's a 10% of that I'm going to put into ETH. But I don't just buy it like I normally would for a dollar cost average. I go onto Polymarket and I see what does Polymarket say is going to be the ETH price, the low ETH price for this month. And then whatever Polymarket says is going to be the low, I then wait for the ETH price to actually hit that. This month it predicted 3K. ETH just hit 3K. When it did, I bought it 3K. Instead of buying it 3,500, I bought it a little bit lower. And so I'm still dollar cost averaging. I'm still buying once a month, but it's making me a little bit more informed in that I look at Polymarket as what will it be in the future month, the price. Enough market participants are participating in that. And then as on the AI side, we benefit from knowing when an AI model is going to come out. Most of our competitors, other participants in the AI building space are probably not referencing Polymarket as a source of truth. If we know that a model is going to come out on this date, instead of us saying, we're going to build this week, if we know Gemini 3 is coming out on Tuesday, we can know, okay, on Tuesday, when it comes out, let's do a post immediately with a screenshot of Gemini 3 already inside of our product. And it's not taking us off guard, and it's not something that we have to pivot or change to. We already know, okay, OpenAI is about to release GPT-6, and we can change the plans for what we're going to be doing for this week, knowing that they're going to do this to align our marketing efforts and to align what we're building, instead of being caught off, oh, wow, GPT-6 came out. Like, I have a feeling Polymarket will tell us when GPT-6 is going to come out, at least a week prior to GPT-6 actually coming out. And so we can
be prepared, or at least walk toward it. Yeah, I like it. I would challenge you. The only challenge that I would have to your hypothesis is to put data behind it. So anytime that you do dollar cost average, like, also have a spreadsheet that says, like, was it correct or not? Does ETH go lower than 3? And then you can kind of have a running tally of how accurate is Polymarket all the time. And kind of find trends on, like, what are the things that it's more accurate on and what are the things that it's more gambly on. But I agree. Like, I think we're super early in, like, in prediction markets. So, like, time will tell. And I think having the data to understand it better is always going to be better, obviously.
Off in all the things that you've delivered, I have a feeling you have a longer list than me of all the things you've been delivering this week.
Yeah, I want you to kick it off because I have a longer list. So okay. You kick off what you shipped, because I know there's a couple of things as well. And then I'll hit some time.
Yep, I will start with trigger.dev. So every day now, if you're a pro subscriber or an enterprise customer of Recoup, you are getting all of your social accounts you've connected across all of your artists every single day. So actually, TK sent me a message today and was like, hey, I want to check in with you about I'm also bringing in process over to trigger.dev because it's working so well with Recoup. TK reached out, or Claire, who works with TK on Eternal Garden, reached out to me and said, hey, I want to talk with you about that TikTok tool that you shared us a year ago in Miami, because a year ago we were doing the 360 wrapped with Recoup, and I don't know that she's touched it since, but she asked to check in with me about it.
To give you a quick update on TK, and so he subscribed to Pro. So he was Pro for a while. I think his card stopped working, So he went back to normal. But yeah, just update on his status.
Cool. So we have, if you're a pro subscriber or an enterprise customer, every day at midnight, we automatically run a scraper across your profile. The scraper takes us about 30 minutes. So this is one of the reasons why I'm not running this inside of Vercel, is Vercel has a maximum runtime of 800 seconds, which is about 12 minutes. This exceeds Vercel's limit. So instead of us trying to engineer to fit our mental models into the box of Vercel, what Vercel provides us, this trigger.dev charges us less than a penny for us to run 30 minutes of compute. So I think that less than a penny makes sense, but it is something that I'd like to talk to you about. And then going into any of these, we can see how each of those runs go. Some of the artists don't have socials. I'm leaving these warnings here just so that we know, and if we want to check in with these artists to figure out the socials, we can. And then it scrapes, polls, gets all those artists. The batches get complete. When the batches get complete, you can then scroll into here and see all the data. There's Teddy Swims, I Am Chill Pill. And then here's the completed info. So all that bulk data that we get, which is way more than we actually store in Superbase right now, but just printing all that data so that way we can see, okay, what artist is being run in a batch. We're polling it till completion. After that batch is complete, here's the info that we got. And then it saves all that info into Superbase to update the experience so that all of our pro customers, anytime they're querying Recoup, it has the latest follower counts and can then make decisions on it. So that was one. Second, I fixed our evals. So this is also public. If you go to github.com/recoupable-com/recoup all of our pull requests automatically trigger a run of our evals with Brain Trust. I have deleted the evals that call our catalog tool. That way we aren't DDoSing our own API, because our API is not built. We home rolled it instead of building it on top of Vercel, so it does not scale as well as it could if we really focused on it. Maybe that is tech debt that we someday hopefully will need to update. But here you can see those evals ran on SID's pull requests, and then we can go into Brain. We can't see it in here anymore. As a result of adding in browser base and browser tools, the evals don't run with Brain Trust native GitHub action. So going into the pull request, you will not see the results of the eval. You have to go to braintrust.dev. So there's a deprecation in our ability to see the results of those evals directly inside of our pull requests. We could home roll our own solution to do the comment and to post the results. So far, my goal was just to get it working, so that way we could at least come in here and see the results, but I picked one that we have now stopped using. So if you come into any of them and you check out the experiments, you'll see when these are being run. 5 days ago is a while. That SID's been merging stuff, so we should have something that's sooner than 5 days. 5 days ago is what's showing for me as the latest. I'm going to check one more time. Maybe it stopped working. Let's go into SID's latest pull request. SID's latest pull request was 16 hours ago. If we go into that and we go to checks, and instead of checks, we go to Brain Trust. The eval ran and it says it was successful. In the run Brain Trust evals, we're now using Composio. Composio, we haven't added the key into runtime, so since Composio is now being used, evals got broke again because the results aren't showing up inside of pull requests. I didn't know because I never went out to check. And so I have rebroke evals by adding Composio. So far, evals are a game of whack-a-mole of we fix it and then they break and then we fix it and then we break. So far, question for you, Sid, I'll pause here. What value have we been getting out of evals? Why do we continue to maintain this? What is the value that we are getting out of spending time fixing, maintaining, and running these evals.
When they work and we use them, they're the only way to measure effectively the responses of the LLM. And so when they work and we use them, they are helpful.
Agreed.
But it's really easy to not use them, or if they're not working, not use them, and then not measure. So just going back to what is the value? It's the only way that we can measure.
And so the last thing I have been building out is the ability to have agents. And so I'll do a quick test, and then I'll give my MIQ, and then drop it over to Sid for his breaking news. Apologies for the delays. Wi-Fi at DevConnect is very slow, so I'm running on a hotspot on my phone to do the live stream and to do all the screen sharing and stuff. So mine is... Has it been 24 hours since I even recorded this? It's like 24 hours. Okay. So here is Recoup running with the supervisor loop. And so I can say something like, 1, get my latest follower count, 2, update my Google Sheet, adding a row for the new follower counts. This isn't going to work because I didn't give it an actual sheet link. But it thinks this triggers the planning agent. So this is the first agent that we have is a planning agent. The planning agent creates a plan. So the first tool that always gets called is create plan. You'll see that whenever it gets up to that point. Okay, it didn't even get there. It's asking me for stuff because it doesn't, so it didn't even do it. I want it to do the stuff. Don't ask any questions, do the thing.
And also, like, this is where evals would be helpful, right? Is because we could write an eval to see how often does it trigger the thing, and then measure and improve.
The planning agent only has 2 tools, a create plan and an execute task tool. If it doesn't call those like it did the first time, it just comes back. But in that case, it didn't even know the tools that it had because the planning agent doesn't have access to the full list of tools. It only has access to the create plan tool and the execute task tool. Inside of the create plan tool, I give it in the system prompt for the create plan tool all of the tools, just the list of names and the agents that they belong to. And then the execute task calls a sub agent to do the individual task. But you'll notice that it's slow between each task. So it's finishing up the first one, and then you'll see it'll call execute task. It's thinking, it's going through its plan. It writes the plan at the start, and then it never updates the plan. There's a whole bunch of new stuff for us to try to rewrite the entire architecture in the current play. It's thinking, and now execute task is called. It's spinning up another sub agent to execute one single tool. And so you can see it pauses here. Usually it'll go fast and it'll keep going through the tools, but in this, it executes one single step. It reasons a whole bunch, often hallucinating because it loses context of other things that I haven't provided it yet. Then inside of here, it's executing another agent. That's the slowest thing, is having to execute the next agent. And now it's giving me a response and asking me a question, but this is just a sub agent responding. It might have picked an incorrect sub agent, and then it goes back to the planning agent, and then it continues to stream. So it's multiple different streams being passed into the same one. There's slow responses. We're missing context that we have to plug in together. And so the main problem that I see is that calling subagents is slow. This entire process, just for it to fail the task and to not know all of its tools, is very slow. this is exactly what Sid had shared, the post from that DevRel guy. I think his name's Nico, who used to work at the AI SDK and now works at Cursor, but actively shares AI SDK stuff. He had shared an example, but I personally am not thinking that is, well, my current judgment is that it's not the best solution possible. The problem I'm seeing is that calling subagents are slow, calling subagents loses context, or we at least have to do a whole bunch of boilerplate middleware code to pass the correct context that I still haven't finished doing. So the main question I have is, how can the correct tools be provided to Recoup at the right time?
Boom.
And so I'll stop there and I'll toss it over to Sid to talk about his breaking news. Thank you for letting me go on that.
Awesome though. Awesome stuff. A lot of the stuff that I worked on is along the same lines of what you were talking about. But let me start with the shipments, and then I'll go into the things that I've not shipped that are half-baked ideas because I have ADD, and I realized why we ship so differently. Or tell me if I'm wrong here, Sweets, but like you are a very linear thinker when it comes to systems and processes, where you can go, boom, you operate in like I have this list, let me do this. You're able to create these amazing tickets of like, I realized that I am the exact opposite way of thinking. I need the ability to like, not even need, I just like my brain goes here and then, oh, let me go over here. Oh, let me go try this actually thing. And it's like it's constantly in discovery mode. And like what ends up happening is I'll start on something like shipping this one feature, but then realize, oh shit, well, you know what, we would be better if we optimize the database because of this, and that'll affect everything else. So let me go jump over here, and now I have this open thing and this other thing I'm working on. And like in the span of like 2 days, probably had like 4 or 5 different branches happening at the same time. And so I just realized how different we are. Like after starting to work better with branching and not staying linear. Anyways, so sorry for my crazy. I realized like now, like for me, like a long list of a bunch of fucking things makes sense. Like because it's like, okay, yeah, I can go jump on there, I can go jump over here, I can do this. So whereas like when we were talking about like how do we do like lists, it's like no, just like focus on like the one little thing, like stop adding all of the extras because it doesn't need to be there, right? All right, let me jump into where are we? Slack. Where are we? Slack. Code review. All right, so let me share my screen. Can you see screen? There we go.
We can see screen.
All right, jump in. Let me throw on an artist over here. I'll do Gatsby. All right, cool. So let me pull up the Slack and start from the top. So the first thing is shared artist tasks. Previously, you couldn't see. Oh, let me do this. Previously, you couldn't see. If you shared an artist with somebody else, you couldn't see all of their tasks. And it was just upsetting me. So I made it so that you can now see who, like, instead of just the task being siloed to like only your tasks, you can see what other tasks people are running with this same artist that you shared on the team. That way you can like see who's running it, and then you can also click in and see what they've prompted, or you can update it to like work on it together. Like, so that's the first thing we shipped. The next thing is you can now share files. So now if you have the same artist that you're sharing with, you also share all of these files. And then that way you can participate in the same workflows and work on the same artist or same campaigns together. The next thing is previously there was like a little bug with tasks where I think you remember this, where you couldn't delete it. Like when or you couldn't delete paused tasks, because when you paused a task, it deleted it from the database. So then when you tried to delete it, it couldn't find it. So I fixed that. So you can pause, or you can delete pause tasks now. The next one is I added social platforms for artist settings to match your workflows. So previously we only had up until X. I added Facebook, Threads, and then I also added LinkedIn and Snapchat. Personally, I added LinkedIn because I would want that. I know we don't have that set up on the back end yet, but I figured it's something that I would want a dog food. So I added it. And then Snapchat, I figured if it's probably something somebody's going to want a dog food anyway. So added these 4 so that when you fill these out, or at least when you fill out Facebook and Threads, it also runs that on the scraper daily if you're in a pro account. And then thinking through when we want to implement LinkedIn, Snapchat, etc. The next thing is fix move file folder. Okay, so now move file folder. There was a bug with the file system, so I just fixed that quick bug. Oh, okay, here's a good one. So the next one is I added the SERP API to search Google Images. So now you can say show or search Google for images of socks. Why not? And give it a second, because Gemini actually has been pretty slow. Partially, it's also slow in cursor. So I imagine they're just like overloaded and the model's just kind of slow at first thing. But anyways, this now gives you the ability to grab real images instead of just generating AI images. So sometimes, if you're making a newsletter or you're doing reports or whatever, you may want to actually include real images instead of AI. So this now allows you to do that. The future updates of this is like when you're doing search, just figure out how we can add this to like reporting or whatever, make it, it's a powerful, fun little new feature. All right, cool. The next thing is, you guys already saw this, but added Gemini 3 Pro to the model selector. I also hopefully by the end of the day today, we'll add Nano Banana Pro here, and then update this to GPT 5.1. So we will have like the top, newest, latest, and greatest models all available right up front. And then fix the social URL threads. Okay, and then the final thing that was shipped is fixing customer instructions. So previously, we were passing artist instructions, custom instructions, knowledge base, etc., to the system prompt, but we weren't passing customer information besides like the account information or whatever. So I changed that and updated the account info table to include job title, company, and a couple other things that I'm going to use for onboarding. And then also just fix this so this information also gets passed to the model as well. So now the model gets customer information as well as workspace information, or artist or label or whatever it is. So those are the things that I shipped. Any thoughts or questions before I move to the ideas that are still in limbo?
All of your changes look good. Question about I guess the crown beside Gemini 3 is automatic, right? You didn't do that manually. It's automatically enforced based off the pricing of the model. And so the pricing of Gemini 3 makes it fall into our pro tier only.
Correct.
Nope, no other feedback or questions. Looks good. All those changes make sense. The LinkedIn and Snapchat threw me off because it's not included in scraping, but did you verify that those records are being saved into Supabase when you add in a Snapchat or a LinkedIn field in Facebook and Threads?
Yes.
Okay. You'll like put it in there, and then when you refresh the page, they're still there. Awesome. Nope, no other questions.
Cool. So this is going to be the fun part. I'm going to try to do it quick though. So let's dive into it. You ready, sweets? You ready to have some fun?
Fun.
All right. Keep in mind that this is me just going off on tangents. So, all right. Anyways, the first thing that I did was, how can I explain what I started, or how I went down the path? So the goal was to implement some things that make it. Oh, let me just make sure I have no A and V variables that open. Okay, cool. So actually, I'm just going to show you what I'm doing. All right. So what we did is this. Can you see?
That's be grace and code.
Okay, cool. So what ended up happening was I started to go into trying to set up a system so that you can deselect an artist and just have the AI or just be a user selected. And then, which is why I went down the route of custom instructions for the user. And then from there, realized that like we needed better onboarding to be able to identify who the user is in order to even give them value beyond no artist selected. And then also like help start to customize their experience a little bit more, specifically also for like our pro and enterprise users who like I could go in and like manually, I'm currently going in and like working with them to try to like identify opportunities or preferences or whatever. And I wanted an easier way to like store all of that information and then like make it make a difference for when they use the product. As I was doing that, I started just play around with like how do we show them that there's no artist selected? How do we make it easy for them to show an artist? So I started to play around with the UI and then just realized like, you know what, we've been stuck on the UI that we like developed a year ago just because. And so I wanted to see what everything looked like taken away. And so I started to strip everything back and landed here with like the idea of like, what if the user doesn't need to see anything? And what if we just had an agent that opened and closed and showed UI when the user asked for specific things? You know, if the user wants to like we currently kind of already do that with tasks, but everything is in line. And so like I wanted to see like what would happen if like the user wants to like go to another like conversation or whatever, like maybe it opens up the sidebar, or if they want to change their artist, they can just say it and it'll like change their artist, or like more just generate. And I wouldn't say generative UI to this extent of like writing the code on the fly yet, but like if the user asks about their calendar or their tasks, showing them that was one of my things. Like, how do we abstract it away? And it kind of like coincided with the idea of like onboarding. Like one of the big issues that I am currently facing is like, I have to go in with customers and like walk them through the process of how to use Recoup. And even then, I feel like they still don't fully grasp it and like get stuck, you know? And so like if I was to make the optimal onboarding scenario, like what would it include? And so I kind of like started just go down rabbit holes of like what onboarding should look like, right? And like this idea of like you want it to like empower the user, right? Like where like they learn AI skills during onboarding. So like they feel like Recoupable has upskilled them just with general AI knowledge, how to prompt, how to talk to a computer, etc. You want the onboarding to capture the data required to make the user's experience incredible as they use the product, right? So like grabbing things like, you know, what their name is, grabbing things like what their title is, starting to grab things like what their preferences, how they talk to the AI, like all of these things could be grabbed and then used to improve their shit better during an onboarding process. And then like aha moments, right? Like how do we get users to, during the onboarding, to like these aha moments? This is why Recoupable is valuable, fast during onboarding. And so like the first thing I keep thinking through, or the thing I started to think through is like, okay, like there are certain aha moments that like happen during onboarding. In my experience of users like and demoing the product, right? One is like create new artist. The create new artist function is incredible, right? Because they like, it's proof that there's an agent running, AI is doing the job, and like it's great. The problem is that it all happens in line and the user has to sit there for 4 minutes and wait. And so my idea was, what if during onboarding, you create a new artist, it spawns this create new artist sub agent, it becomes like a little box up here, and that task runs as a sub agent over here, and it's running, but the user can still talk, can still continue onboarding, can still do things, but they visually can see they have this thing over here working for them. And like it's streaming, it's doing its whole thing, it's whatever. If it hits a roadblock, it will show the UI like, I need your approval for this. I need this, or this error happened, or whatever. Like they can still visibly see it, but it's not stopping them from continuing their work, continuing to use the product. And then how do you do that parallel? Like, can you also then create another sub agent here for, task management? Can you create another one here for organizing? And then like, so I started to go down this rabbit hole of like, what if the UI becomes way more modular based on what the user's doing, and it doesn't stop them in their pursuit of getting work done. And so then from that, I started to think about the database and blah, 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 blah. A couple things that I did that are really cool while I'm here is I created a database table sheet, because I was going through the database suites and I was like, I don't know, what are these, like, the database has so much tech debt from when we first started, from the template that we never used, to like, then like, with Ziad, and then like the old, AI 1.0 stuff that we were doing. Like, so it's gone through iterations, but we haven't like updated it or deleted it. So I wanted to get a grasp on that. So I created this table where it shows you like what the table is, the last activity, what's going on in it, and then like a quick little description, right? Some of the descriptions are wrong. Like I haven't actually gone through and like verified, like, is this does what it does, but most of them are good. But you can see like all of these are active, but like we haven't used agent status, agents, Spotify track, all of this since 6 months ago, from old things. And then look, this also exists. All these old table templates. We had an account memberships from the template we started, roles, config, admin, tasks, order. We had all of this, but there's zero stuff in them except like account memberships when we were like starting, right? But like the template had role-based systems. We just never used it. Like all of this shit was set up. And then I have like the admin from the founder's dashboard stuff here. And then all of these sync stream tables from the legacy product that we have here. So anyways, I just wanted to get an idea of like what our database is. What do I really need to focus on, right? Like, which is this stuff. What exists? What can we use? What can be deleted? And then I was like, all right, while I'm here, let me just do the same thing for tools. So I did the same exact thing for tools where I listed all of our tools, and I had the AI do the general description and try to categorize it so that I could see like, does the AI categorize things correctly, or is it also confused at what these tools are capable of doing? And so I did all of this just to start understanding and getting a grasp on like our tooling. Like you had mentioned in your thing, like the question with the agents and sub agents and routing and all of that all boils down to, how do we get the AI to call the right tool at the right time and deliver the right context back to the user, right? And then the sub question of that is like, how do we get it to do that without fucking with their experience on the product? How can they still use the product while those things are happening on the background. Okay, cool. Finally, one other thing that I did, well, two other things, but with the database stuff, I set up where is it? Oh, prompts. I had it just show me exactly what the AI gets when we call a message. So like I wanted it to print me out like what are we sending to the AI on every call? And this allows us to very quickly see what the AI sees, and then we can like identify, well, this is stupid. Why are we sending where is it? This. Where's it like in the actual thing, we're like telling it every single time what what will be extracted during an Instagram scrape. Like context rot, like so I did that so like we can get a better grasp of how to manage what the fuck our context engineering system and our database and everything. Finally, the last thing that I want to show you before we do is I implemented this to just start to mess around with it. It's not the way it wants to be, but I added workflow canvas node view to start to think about how a more modular UI could look, right? And so I added all of this, and I haven't. You can like connect nodes now. It doesn't pass anything through. Like I still need to set all of that stuff up, but I just wanted to like get the view in and get this idea of like if this was an agent here and this was an agent here, and you had like the main chat window here, like starting to play around with this like UI design, modular UI, and seeing what happens with it. Anyways, those are all of the ideas in progress. None of them are like worked out or finished. Like it's all just me exploring to see what happens. But that's where I'm currently at and how I'm currently thinking through this. Like I think like if I had to if I had to categorize what would improve the product the most, it falls into two categories. One is like what UI and UX. It would be onboarding so the customers understand how to use it better. It would be enabling them to do things visually, do things, and let the agents go do stuff, but not stop them from using the product. And we kind of had that already set up with tasks, but it's visually difficult to understand, And then 3 is just context engineering of how do we optimize like all of the tech debt that we've occurred over the last year? How do we get rid of what we don't need? How do we recalibrate so that like if we're going to go on this new paradigm of sub agents and longer tasks, how do we get there without accruing more tech debt? Right? Okay, cool. I'll stop there because I know I've been ranting for a while. I want to get your feedback before we dive into what's going on next week.
No feedback. What's your MIQ?
My MIQ is out of all of the things that I just showed you, or I guess the MIQ, yeah, is for me or you, or get your opinion on. But out of all of the things I just showed you, what is the one thing that if finished first will help speed up or make easier to build the other parts of the process?
Everything that you showed was UI, other than your checklist of databases that can be deleted and system prompts stuff that is context rot. Other than UI changes, what other things did you merge or were you working on other than database table examination and context rot and system prompt?
It's currently all UI related. But
So I think to answer your question, the cleaning up of tables or the system rot, probably system rot because that hits every single chat entry. Database tables, it doesn't, if they're not being used, it's not slowing anything down other than your understanding and new dev's understanding of the system. So the single thing would be the system rot in our system problem, context rot in our system problem. All the UI stuff, in my opinion, my main question when you're building that out is why is this a better use of our engineering time than putting Recoup where our customers are already spending their time in email, on their cell phones, on Instagram? Why, like, it seems like we're trying to pull them into a UI when they're already spending time in other UIs that Recoup doesn't exist in. So why build our own UI when we still haven't met them where they already are?
It's a great question. There are the main reason is because, well, actually, I shouldn't say this because I think your version of what you just said is a great challenge, and I think that like I haven't figured out which is more valuable yet. And I think that we need to start implementing both sides, whether it be me taking one side and you taking the other side of like that bet, to a point where we can just start capturing data and saying like people are using it more this way or people are using it more this way, right? But I think as of right now, the reason why I went down the road of implementation UI wise is because even if we implement something on a text message, users are still going to say the same prompts and have the same expectations. So like a user that comes in and says, how are my TikTok results in the front end UI on Recoupable platform and get bad answers is the same. They're going to have the same experience if we send them a text or they send an email, right? Like, and so what my goal with the onboarding was one to like help educate them on like the capabilities of the product, how to use it, how to set things up, get people to the aha moments faster. Because I think that's the issue that I'm having is like ahas. How do I get to people having ahas quicker and making sure that we set them up in a way that like they're constantly always getting ahas after onboarding, you know? And so I'm preventing them from coming in and being like, well, how are my TikToks? And then not getting a good response and then being like, this thing's broken. I'll come back in 4 months, you know? So yeah, those are my thoughts. But I think that implementing text and email is equally as important right now when it comes to differentiation of our product versus everybody else.
Is the breaking news talking about next week. My task for this week was to get week over week social media reporting working. It's working if you can send 2 prompts in production. If you need to do it in one, it doesn't work because right now the tools are isolated into 2 different agents. The main question I have is week over week social reporting still the most important thing that I should be working on, or have we spent too much time on this? Do we need to focus on a different task and leave this on pause for now?
Great question. My response would be if you had to get it done so I can demo it on Monday, if you had to get it done in 24 hours, like how would we do it? That way
Sub agents, and then I would put the tools all into one monolithic agent, and I would get rid of this idea of agents and just put all the tools in a big bucket and tell you to write a very strict prompt on the tools that you want called. That way it works because all the tools are there, they're just isolated into agents, and we haven't built any sort of orchestration. And my current hypothesis is everybody's thinking around orchestration in AI SDK v6 is incorrect, or I don't understand correctly how they're doing it.
All right, so then let's do what you just said. If we can not, well, I'm just saying like for next week, the going into next week, I think there's a couple cleanup tasks, like you mentioned. Let's just get let's get the tool working for week over week, so I can demo it next week. Sooner the better. And then fix the little things like you had mentioned. Actually, I think like the Composio thing is fine. Like there's other little things. Anyways, next week, I think the main task, because it was already requested, and it'll probably move us forward to this vision of what you were saying of like meet the user where they are, is MCP server. Is let's get that set up so that we can get we can start connecting our customer. Our customers can connect to us in their own applications. My question to you would be,
so allowing customers to add their own MCP servers at an account level or at an artist level?
I want to reverse engineer it from what the use case would be with enterprise. So it would be at an organization level. So I guess account level, but
Because you have an artist, but an account is just one human. For example, Big S Kids you have as an artist. So you want it at an artist level. That way, when you share Big S Kids with another account, they have access to it.
Yeah, no, but
that artist.
Yeah, it would need to be for at an account level. Yeah, it would need to be at an account level.
Not so. If Sid has an MCP server, it's not shared with Big S Kids.
Correct. But it's really like
can't set it for another human. The human has to go into their account settings, the same place that Sid changed his bio and added in the bottom list of MCP servers. They exist for all of his artists, no matter what artist is actively selected.
Wait, can we jump off stream to dive into this?
Okay.
Thank you for watching.
Stop the stream.
I think it's good.
Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you on